Today's video is from TheBurgerkrieg, and it's called "The Things Society Steals from Men." TheBurgerkrieg is a channel that I really love. Every single one of his videos, he makes a lot of videos on tabletop RPGs. When he doesn't talk about that, he talks about men's issues, and you might cringe hearing that, but stay with me. And those are really good. I think I discovered him from the emotional objectification of men, and it was a really good video. But today's video, "The Things Society Steals from Men," is an hour and 10 minutes, and it talks about how men are kept from being able to express themselves emotionally, and how like systematically society kind of destroys their soul. And the video tries to aim to help men get their soul back and get back in touch with their emotion. And I want to touch on a couple of things that the video talks about, because I think it's an amazing video, and that there's not enough people on social media, on YouTube, who talks about men's issues and how to help men socially. And that's really a shame, because if you believe, because why do young men get drawn to Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson nowadays? It's because they don't have another model that gives them the tools to kind of heal, especially mentally, because men are suffering, and whether they're willing to admit it or not, a lot of them don't. They're hurting. They're really hurting. And Andrew Tate is just patriarchy, like the Burger Creek says, patriarchy with a mustache, who says, "Oh, you're hurting? Well, you're hurting because you're not enough of a man. Be more of a man. Suffer more." When the response that should be given to them is, "You're hurting because you were not allowed to express yourself emotionally." And even people who say that you should cry as a man, that you should be able to express yourself emotionally as a man, sometimes don't actually, even if they say in good faith, they don't actually always do this in their daily life. For example, an example he gives is the man flu. And the man flu is basically when men are sick and they express any emotion, or they show that they're hurting, it's not taken seriously. I've seen this in my daily life with people who say they're feminists, or who do care about men expressing their emotions. It's when men are sick and they express it, it's like, oh, oh yeah, it's just like, oh, men can't handle being sick, they act like pussies. And it's like, why? Because it's systemically the case. It's systemically, like, as a dude, you can't. And as a man, like, I'm never sick, but when I am sick, I don't like to show it. And there's very few times when I was sick, but I remember having the flu and like not being able to walk. Like, it got so bad that I couldn't get out of bed, and when I got out of bed, I couldn't walk physically. But I didn't eat all day, and I had to eat something at some point, so I had to get up and go to the cafeteria. But it was hard as hell. But not being sick is like, it became part of my personality at some point. And the video talks about that, and it talks about a lot of things, about how we say that men are easier to raise, when it's not the case. It's just that parents oftentimes don't care about their little boys' emotions, and so they feel that little boys are easier to raise, because when a boy cries, we just tell him to shut up and stop crying. But when a girl cries, we try to figure out what's wrong. And so, it's like he says at some point, it's women and children first, when there's a catastrophe that happens. But like, we feel that that's insulting to the women, for the strong women that there are out there, and we don't care about the fact that like the men are the ones dying in this situation. But it's not approached from that perspective. Is We don't care. I think the line he uses, we don't care about the men dying, we just want them to do it quietly. And I think there's not enough content creators who talk about like social advice for men, for not how to not come off as a creep, how to not bore people, how to be a good person to be around, because that's something a lot of men struggle with. And when you ask how to not be a creep, a lot of the time people will say like, oh, just don't rape, you know. How can I date people and not come off as a creep? Oh, just don't rape, don't sexually assault people. And like, if you offer a set of concepts and advice, that can be a good advice, but like when it's the only advice you give men, it's really shitty, and it's really bad, and it doesn't help at all, because then it makes you feel like as a dude you can't express yourself because you'll come off as a creep, and it reinforces that. So I don't think I did a very good job of explaining the video, but I recommend that you watch it. It's incredibly good. The target audience is men, but if you're a woman, there's a lot of things. Basically, everything it talks about is something you're probably not privy to. And I think it will help, especially if you have guy friends, in understanding. I guarantee this video would speak to them if they watched it, so I recommend you watch it. See you later.